Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Welcome to Faith in Politics with me, Eileen. Hello, hello, hello. We're live everywhere. Welcome to Faith in Politics with me, Eileen. We are live and I'm excited about this show. Y'all, we will be live every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. So make sure you log on. You can catch me here. I'm excited about it. We've been kind of promoting the show. I know I had a soft launch, but we are legit now. We will be live every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. So you can catch me at Podbean. That is where my website is. So it is faithinpoliticstoday.podbean.com. That is faithinpoliticstoday.podbean.com. You can go and download the app. It's a lot easier if you do it that way. If you do listen on any other stream, Apple or anything like that, you can catch it after the show ends. It is not live on those, but you can catch it live there. So if you ever miss anything, you can catch those there. I'm live on Instagram. Hey everyone, and I'm live on TikTok. Hey y'all, how you doing? So I have a fun show for you today. It is episode 34. Can you believe I've been doing this that long? Episode 34. And today's episode is Remove the Fluff and Tell It Like It Is. And so it's really kind of interesting how I got the title for this show because I dreamt about it last night. That's truly how it happened. And so, true story, I was getting kind of a crook in my neck. So I was putting pillows behind me and I put an extra pillow and it got more uncomfortable. And I was like, what is the deal? Why is it more uncomfortable? And so I heard the Lord say, remove the pillow. So I took the pillow off and I went down to one pillow. And I tell you, my neck was so comfortable. I was like, oh, and God said, remove the fluff. And I said, oh, okay. He was like, we add all of this stuff on and we don't tell people the truth. We're not getting to the point with people. Hey y'all, how you doing? I'm really excited about the show. If you're just following me, welcome to the party. If you've been following me for years, thank you so much. I've been doing radio since 2013. Can you believe it? Yes, that's nuts. I was on WBOK from 2013 to 2017. And then I went to go work for the mayor of the city of New Orleans. And I built the social media department for 3 years, from 2018 to 2021. And then I left. Ida drew me out of town for a school year, and then I came back. My heart was led to do the recall, and then I ran for mayor. There are times where you need to speak up for your people, and that was definitely one of them. So we do have a great show for you. I want to let you know what we're going to be talking about today because we got all kinds of stuff. First things first, I do have a prophetic word from the Lord. It is a warning, so that'll be interesting. I'm going to give you a budget update and what's happening with regard to the budget deficit in New Orleans. So I'm going to give you an update, let you know what's going on because we have a big meeting happening tomorrow. So residents really need to understand. We're going to go through kind of what's in the news and how it affects you. And also with the warnings that the Lord has given us, how you can kind of see it playing out in New Orleans because it is literally playing out in New Orleans right now. New Orleans is under judgment from the Lord. We're in our cleanse. If you did not know, you will know and have a better understanding after listening to this show today. We will also be talking about the elections. We have an election on this Saturday, November 15th. So make sure you get ready to vote, get a plan to vote. I am going to go over the propositions really quickly for you. I do have a post on my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube with this information. So if you want to kind of go more in depth, and I go too fast for you here, you can go and make sure you read it and share that information with your family and friends. We will also be talking about the importance of voting. I was having that conversation with somebody last week. They were like, well, why do we vote? Our votes don't count. And let me say, your votes count, and they are absolutely important. If you don't vote, your voice isn't heard. And actually, when you're not voting consistently, you are then ignored. And so I'll kind of break that down and why that is what it is so you can have a better understanding of why it's so important that we vote, especially in blocks. We will also be talking about I had a resident question about blight. And so I want to answer that question for you, because if there's one person who has this question, I'm sure there's many people with this question. So I'll be answering a resident question regarding blight in their neighborhoods, and also where to go to find city information and how to connect with the city so that you can, just be up to date, because we want to make sure you grow your faith in politics so you can know the game and then you can referee from afar. And then last but not least, we do have a little New Orleans trivia because I have a book giveaway. So I'm really excited. Shout out to Club Evolve, who sponsored our book giveaway. We will have a book giveaway today. And I will let you know that the answer to the trivia question is actually in the trivia post that I posted today. So that's a hint for you. I'm not going to make you go run through Google or anything, but the answer to the trivia question will be in the post from today. So, and the first person who puts the answer in the comments will win the book. All you got to DM me, and we'll work it out to get the book to you. But there's a free book giveaway today. Shout out to Club Evolve, who sponsored a book giveaway. And so if you want to partner with Faith in Politics, reach out to me, my DMs. I do have new contact information, so I want to make sure I give that to you here. If you want to email me, I am very much interested in your partnerships and your solutions, your ideas. And if you want to sponsor anything, please let me know. You can reach me at 504 434 2827. That is 504 434 2827. And you can call me Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. I will be there. And you can also email me at faithinpolitics504 at gmail.com. That is faithinpolitics504 at gmail.com. So I'm really excited about that. So that is how you can reach me if you're interested, and contact me if you have any questions, any city questions. Please let me know, because if you have it, I'll make a post about it and share it so that everyone can get the information. We want to learn our civics together and how to navigate New Orleans or your city, wherever you're listening. If you have a mayor's council, a strong mayor council form of government, then you will relate to what we're talking about here, because that's the type of government that New Orleans has. And if you did not know that that's the type of government New Orleans has, then guess what? You need to get the book too. The book is Faith in Politics. It is actually free. The PDF is free. If you go to my Instagram and the links in the bio, you can get the PDF for free. If you'd like to purchase the book, you can do that on Amazon, or you can purchase it from me. If you would like to purchase it from me, you can just pay through Cash App or Zelle. The Cash App is Faith in Politics. It's very easy. And Cash App is faithinpoliticstoday@gmail.com. But if you need any of that information, please let me know. I've also had some history teachers reach out to me. So if you have an organization or a classroom or anything like that, and you're looking for books or information for your students, you can go online. You can download the PDF for free if you'd like to do that. If you're an organization and you want to do a bulk purchase, I do that as well. Get in touch with me, because maybe I can give you a little discount with regarding the bulk purchase. We do have to do that through Amazon. So let me know, and we can work that out for you, because I just want to make sure that it is feasible for everyone to get their hands on the information. Because if we don't know the rules of the game to politics, then how can we referee from afar? So just a little history about me for people who didn't know. My name is Eileen Carter. I was born into a political family here in New Orleans. My father was the first Black elected assessor in the entire state of Louisiana. And he won his first campaign by approximately 33 votes. So you can see how important voting is, because if those 33, 34 people did not vote, my father would have never won. He took down the Comiskey family. If you are in New Orleans, you are familiar with Comiskey Park, who's right there off of Tulane Avenue. So you know what I'm talking about. Their family was very entrenched in the city, and my father took down that legacy. In short, and really changed the game for our community. My dad won his first election in 1984. I was 6 years old. So I have been in this political game for a long time, whether I wanted to or not. And so there's just some things by being around politics. So I wanted to share that information with each and every one of you, because if we all light a match under each other and share this information, we can be a stronger New Orleans. And so that's what it's all about for me. And last but not least, if you are new to this, you will soon find out I walk with the Lord. I am in the fivefold, and I have an apostolic walk, and I don't play about God, and he don't play about me. And so when he gives me information about the city of New Orleans and Revelation, I do like to share it. Not like I like to share it, I'm required to share it, because that's if your voice for the Lord, that is what it is. And so I've been giving prophecies for the city of New Orleans for a couple years now, at least by video since 2021. So you can also catch my prophecies in the earlier podcasts and earlier episodes. And you can also catch those at, let me give you the whole, you can catch them at Apple, YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Music, Podbean, Player FM, Listen Notes, Podchaser, and Boomplay. So if you ever miss an episode, you can go there and you can catch up. You can catch up from 1 to 33, because this is episode 34 now. So that is Apple, YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Music, Podbean, Player FM, Listen Notes, Podchaser, and Boomplay. So let's jump right into the word that the Lord has given me, because honestly, it's a very hard word and it's a very difficult word. It is not a comfortable word, and it is 100% a warning for the city of New Orleans. We are in judgment. There's a while ago, one of my prophecies was that New Orleans was going to go through a three-step process. It is going to be judgment, cleanse, and revival. We have been through judgment and we are now in cleanse. The sign that cleanse started was the indictment of the mayor of a sitting mayor of the city of New Orleans. Everybody was, if you saw the TV and all of things that happened, this has never been done, this is historic. Well, that's generally how God does stuff. He does stuff that's never been done, and that's been historic. And our warning that this was coming was the snowstorm of 2025. And so it is what it is. New Orleans doesn't listen. We are internationally known for witchcraft. People come here to do voodoo from all over the world. And so, people take that to play with, but God is not playing with us. So let me give you the word of the Lord, and then we're going to go into media and different news articles that prove what the Lord is showing us now. So do we like it? No, but it is what it is. And if we don't get our mind right and pay attention to it, it's not going to get any better. We can complain all we want, but it is what it is. So the Lord woke me up at 6 something this morning, and he was like, read Ezekiel 9. And so I've really been preparing myself for this show because, number one, I want to deliver a great show with great information for each and every one of you that you could take home and, share with your family and friends. But we have to be honest about what's going on in our lives, where we are, and what's going on in our city. As you see, New Orleans is in a $160 million deficit, and that is only for this year. And they have to get a balanced budget by December 1st. So that is 19 days and counting. So there's a lot to do. And people are like, why is all this going on in New Orleans? So I'm going to give you the spiritual side of it, and then I'll show you how that actually relates to what's going on in New Orleans. And people take this for a joke. I wouldn't. If it was a joke, you wouldn't see voodoo stores on every, in every neighborhood in the city of New Orleans. It's not a joke. People really pay for this stuff, and you should not have to pay for revelation from the Lord. It is free. All you got to do is tap in. So the Lord gave me Ezekiel 9, and his word was remove the fluff. A lot of times, we give information. I'm like, ooh, Lord, that's a hard word. I don't want to say that. And God's like, say it just like I tell you. So it's not comfortable, all of it. It is what it is. And a lot of leadership is getting their issue. And I mean, from politicians to clergy to business people to education, people in leadership, period. If they have been leading us off a cliff, they about to get their issue. So I will read what the Lord gave me. Actually, let me read it off of here because I want to be specific with what the Lord said. So this was the prophetic warning that was given to me today, 11/11/25. God said, remove the fluff, and he redirected me to read Ezekiel 9, and I offer that to you as well. And Ezekiel 9 is titled, Idolaters Killed. Yep. We are not called to pray for everyone, and do not fall into idolatry. And so I'm going to be reading Ezekiel 9, 4-6, and then 9-10 quickly, and then break down exactly what it means. So this is from the Lord, y'all. He is not playing. And this was the Lord speaking to Ezekiel. And the Lord said to him, pass through the city, through Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and groan over the abominations that are committed in it. And to the others he said in my hearing, pass through the city after him, and strike. Your eye shall not spare, and you shall show no pity. Kill old men outright, young men and maidens, little children and women, but touch no one on whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were before the house. Then he said to me, the guilt of the house of Israel and Judah is exceedingly great. The land is full of blood, and the city full of injustice. For they say, the Lord has forsaken the land, and the Lord does not see. As for me, my eye will not spare, nor will I have pity. I will bring their deeds upon their heads. So, as you can see, the Lord is not playing with us. Hey, shout out. I see live from Denton, Texas. Shout out to Texas. We appreciate you on here, and welcome to Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. So I just read a portion of Ezekiel 9. That's what the Lord gave to me with regarding to New Orleans. Now, this is happening in multiple places, but this is specifically happening in New Orleans because we just don't listen. So this is where New Orleans is. Certain people have been marked and will weather this storm. And I put storm in quotation marks. It can be multiple different types of storms. Most New Orleanians will feel the wrath of God, and it's starting with leaders, clergy, political, business, education, etc. It has already begun. We can see it around us with many things closing and the correction of our sitting mayor and correction of our incoming mayor. You can see it with the Catholic Archdiocese, who's now in bankruptcy. I'll get to that in our news clips. And many leaders are leaving their churches or have dwindling congregations. Y'all have seen the Lord is removing and replacing because people are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And a lot of them don't even allow prophecy in the city of New Orleans, which is crazy to me, but it is what it is. This move of God that we're having right now, it has not been seen since Prophet Blake's, and he passed away in, I want to say 2013-ish, I believe. Don't, catch me on that date, but we have not seen a move of God since Prophet Blake's. And so this is really going down in New Orleans, and people with eyes to see and ears to hear. Many leaders are leaving their churches or have dwindling congregations, or their businesses are closing and deals are falling through because they have done wicked in the eyes of the Lord. And I pray that everyone chooses Jesus and repents. I have no pity for these people, nor should you. We should have no opinion as they fall on our right and our left, because if we do, we will be falling into idolatry too of them. That's your warning. If God is correcting something, if God is correcting someone, we do not step in. I'm going to break that down. I'm going to say that again. If God is correcting someone, we do not step in. So the second part of this he gave me was the wrath of God is hitting New Orleans for its disobedience and rebellion. And it begins in the house of the Lord. And the city leaders, I put that in quotation marks, are dealing with idolatry, witchcraft, pride, gluttony, addiction, sexual perversion, lying, thieving, death and suicides, gossip, and more have been running rampant, and the shepherds of the community are not in alignment doing their jobs. They are as a whole out of order. Are they saving souls or delivering a performance with motivational speeches? If your church isn't walking in deliverance, then what are they doing? Judgment has come down and the cleanse is here. The trickle has begun, the flood is coming. The spirit of death and truth were released, and your sins will decide your fate. Calamity after calamity or peace. We have all been marked in the city of New Orleans. You reap what you sow. So many clergy leaders are out of alignment or just straight false at this point. There are bishops who are currently dating their congregations. That is not the will of the Lord. Others claim the word of the Lord and are preaching out of pride and ego. Where is your power? Where is your fruit? Don't be deceived. Get in a Bible-based church that teaches you who you are in Christ and your weapons of warfare. Believers are the army of the Lord, so gear up, repent, or be judged, and protect the sheep. So, this is what the Lord gave me this morning. It was not a comfortable word, but it is what it is, and I'm going to deliver the word of the Lord. And so, that is the warning for New Orleans. Leaders, get your mind right. If you are following a leader who's out of order, you might need to change your church because your soul is on the line. And if you continue to follow these people, they will be following you they will be leading you off a cliff. So I wanted to get into some of the things that you're seeing around New Orleans that will reflect this and show that this is happening. People are like, oh, she's just talking. Okay, well, let me show you better than I can tell you. So the archdiocese was already in judgment, right? And so now we're in the cleanse season. So now the archdiocese, actually this came out in the news today, that 150 of their properties and churches are now in bankruptcy. Let me repeat that. The Archdiocese of the City of New Orleans, as of today, 150 properties, approximately 150 properties and churches are now in bankruptcy. Talk about a cleanse of the Lord. We see what's going on at Warren Easton. I'm not going to go into specific detail because it does include children of things that have happened in the past and people that I know. But I know that there has been bullying at Warren Easton in the leadership positions toward children for years. They have ignored it. They have not talked about it. They sweep it under the rug. They act like it doesn't happen. But here's the deal. If you're bullying children, and how do you think the children are going to respond? They're going to start bullying each other. They can't bully the adults, so they're going to start doing it to each other. Am I saying that's all of their problem? No, but I am saying that is one of their problems, and it's something I know personally, myself, and I know that from another parent from years ago, and I know that it was never taken care of. So Warren Easton is receiving judgment. I'm showing you how it's happened in different ways throughout the city. Xavier University, while they had their centennial, we love Xavier. They are our HBCU. They're the only Black Catholic university in the United States of America, right? We love Xavier. They just had their homecoming. Shout out. I'm repping for them. But, like God said, remove the fluff and tell it like it is. So earlier this year, Xavier held a voodoo symposium on campus. Why they did that, I do not understand, but Xavier held a voodoo symposium on their campus. Y'all can take that for what it is. If you saw yesterday in the news, or last week, I believe it was last week, the River District group had to back out of their deal. River District group was trying to create a new a multi-living space right by the river in New Orleans, connected to the convention center. They were actually going to have do a duplicate of like a Top Golf type thing there, and the residents didn't want it. It was all kind of confusion with regards to that. And right now, the River District, they have been judged by the Lord. They were out of order, and clearly that never worked. And it was cleansed now. They were in judgment. It got pushed back so far, and now it was cleansed. They were out of order, and God didn't like it. Sonder, you see, Sonder was a big corporation that was had merged with Marriott to do Airbnbs in the city, throughout the United States, but really big in the city of New Orleans. So actually, I want to read you a piece about that, because the judgment that came down for Sonder and the cleanse is really no joke. And the connections to people and how it relates to New Orleans is really kind of mind-boggling. So Sonder, a short-term rental owner and management company, is reportedly on the brink of bankruptcy. The company, which owns and manages numerous properties in the New Orleans metropolitan area, has recently had its partnership with Marriott abruptly terminated. Sonder is currently working with a major bankruptcy law firm, indicating a high probability of insolvency. Didn't I tell you we're in a cleanse? This development has significant implications for New Orleans, where Sonder has converted former CBD high-rises into short-term rentals and lobbied local government for favorable regulatory policies. The company's former executive, Peter Bowen, was once hired by the city of New Orleans as the deputy chief administrator of the land use office, where he was responsible for approving short-term rental licenses. So if y'all don't see the irony of that there, then I don't know what to tell you. And last but not least, I want to remind New Orleans that we are under judgment. And so a sign of that judgment was Governor Landry. The Lord put Governor Landry into place. He was chosen by the Lord. And part of that was New Orleans is under judgment, and it is what it is. So you can dislike him or like him, whatever your situation is, but the Lord put him there as judgment. And if you did not know, I'm going to get into this into the budget when I break down the budget summary, and I'm going to do that in a second. New Orleans is under a legislator auditor because of our $160 million budget deficit for 2025. Yes. And so you see how judgment has coming down from New Orleans. And what's actually funny about that is our city council actually requested the legislative auditor because they were trying to point fingers to the mayor. And that finger turned right back around when the auditor was like, hey, you're a part of this too. You need to own your piece. So from the news, what they let us know, Cameron Henry, which is out of the Senate from this area, that the the auditor will be camped out at City Hall for the foreseeable future. So New Orleans, I'm trying to show you how us being out of order and the judgment is raining down in real life situations. Because people like, oh, that's not real. Well, I'm showing you how it's happening. And all of these things that I'm telling you are happening at one time. This is just like a handful, but there are multiple things happen around the city. And these are just things in the news, but it's happening, online. They're happening in your families. They're happening in your relationships. The Lord is having like the black sheep of the family. That's what people like to call them, the black sheep. Well, the black sheep are rising. They're coming out their shell and they're like, we're not taking it anymore. We're going to speak our truth. And so, as I said before, the Lord has released the spirit of truth and he's released the spirit of death. And so you're going to see a lot of deaths happening. People are going for different reasons, and also the spirit of truth. So remember, like Cat Williams said, this was going to be the year of exposure, and that he was speaking kind of nationally, honestly. Well, this is going to be the year of exposure for the city of New Orleans. We've been having a trickle of it, but you're about to see the deluge. We're about to see exposure after exposure after exposure. And so you see what I'm speaking about literally in the news now. So, long story short, for all those black sheep out there who the Lord is calling and knocking on your heart, you can't run from your calling. You really can't. And there's a difference between calling and chosen. Many people are called, and the Lord released the spiritual gifts upon all people. So lots of people have spiritual gifts. It's how you use those gifts. Are you chosen? They have a lot of people who are using those gifts to work with the other side. There's two ways you can get your information out to spirit: the Holy Spirit or demons. It is what it is. It's either the Holy Spirit or demons. You can say it's this, that, or the other. You can say that it's an ancestor. And I love when people bring that up. Oh, it's my ancestors. I'm like, okay, well, which ancestor? Just tell me which ancestor you're praying to so I at least have an understanding. Because when you say ancestor, who are you talking about? And I give examples like Harriet Tubman is an ancestor, right? So do you pray to Harriet Tubman? Martin Luther King Jr., everybody loved him. Martin Luther King Jr. at this point is an ancestor, right? Do you pray to Martin Luther King Jr.? Do you feed him food? Do you leave him offerings? Do you build him an altar? No, that's necromancy. That's witchcraft. So what ancestor are you praying to? We need to have clarity about that because you're praying to dead people. The Bible specifically says, do not do necromancy. That is praying to dead people. You think you're talking to an ancestor? Well, unfortunately, the enemy, the devil, gave you the okie doke. You are not talking to an ancestor. You're talking to a familiar spirit who tries to make you think that they're an ancestor or a family member. You're a family. If you go to heaven, you think you worry about people down here? No, you are straight chilling. You are not worried about us. And so that goes to the name of this episode, remove the fluff. People like to walk around these topics. I do not walk around them. I'm going to deliver them straight up with the truth for you. If you don't like it, it's personal. I care more about your soul than I care about your opinions because the devil gets in your feelings. The devil tries to attack your soul, which is your mind, your will, and your emotions. So people move out of their emotions. And that's one thing you need to stop doing. Stop responding out of your emotions. If you're upset, angry, or whatever, or even happy, sometimes you move too fast out of these places and you should not be. Take it to the Lord. Ask the Lord, what do you need need to be doing in this time and understand so you can move and navigate better. For those with ears to hear and eyes to see, because the Lord told me to cry loud and spare not. So that's what we are here to do. Cry loud and spare not. So with that being the case, let's go through a short summary of the New Orleans budget deficit, because we have a big meeting tomorrow, which is going to let us know if we're getting this $125 million bond. Well, if we're getting approval from the state to go to the bank to get the bond. And so I'm going to give you a timeline just to kind of bring it back up to date, because, they haven't really been talking about it that much over the weekend, and city council meetings have not been going on for these past couple days. So actually, before we jump into this, I want to make sure I give you this information. If you are not connected to the city information, here's how you do it. I'm going to give you 2 websites. And on both of these websites, if you scroll to the bottom, you can subscribe to their emails. And that's what you want to do. You want to go on both of these websites and subscribe to their emails so that you can get all of the New Orleans information that you want. The first one is NOLA.gov. NOLA.gov. That is the City of New Orleans website. I need you to go there, and I need you to subscribe for emails. Subscribe to the email. Subscribe to the email. There are so many people who do not know what's going on in the city of New Orleans because they do not know how to get information. So number one, the mayor, the executive branch, you want their information, you get it from NOLA.gov. So go subscribe to those emails. The second website is council.nola.gov. Not got .gov. Oh, let me get it. Council.nola.gov. So you want to go on there and subscribe to their emails. That's how you'll be getting information for the city of New Orleans from our legislative branch. Remember, we have 3 branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. Executive is the mayor. She's over all the departments. Legislative is the city council. They're responsible for the budget, our utilities, and oversight over the whole city. Of course, I'm making it short. And then we have our judicial branch, which is all of our courts. And our courts are actually under the state of Louisiana. They are not under the city. And so if you did not know that, guess where you can get all of that information? Right here in my book, Faith in Politics. So make sure that you get the book, you get the information, and you share it with your family and friends, because we really want to make sure that we understand what's going on so that we can referee from afar, because we have so many of us, you're working, you're running your kids here, there, and everywhere, and you don't have time to keep up. So getting this information can really help you understand what's going on. So when you're watching the news, you can know, like, hey, they're not giving us full information, or hey, they're not giving context to that, because that's what happens a lot of times. People just watch, 4, 6, and 8 and 26 or whatever it is, and they don't give full context to the story. And honestly, it's really annoying, because you have a lot of these reporters, while we appreciate them, they have not been here pre-Katrina. And so many of us know that there's a difference from pre-Katrina and post-Katrina New Orleans. It is 100% different. And even how New Orleans is made up of people. While we love everybody and New Orleans is a gumbo, we have a lot of people who have come in and gentrified New Orleans. We appreciate you, but we want you to join the party, not recreate the party. And so that's what we've had a lot going on. And it's time for New Orleanians to really connect, stand up for our communities, and speak up so that our culture stays intact for years to come. What do people come to New Orleans for? They come for our food and our music and our culture. So if it gets gentrified, what you coming here for? Right? Right. And so we need to make sure that we have some money in New Orleans so that you can come. So back to New Orleans budget deficit. As I said, New Orleans is in judgment under the Lord, and we're in the cleanse. And so you see this with New Orleans budget deficit. So I'm going to give you a timeline that actually starts in 2023. So you can have a real understanding of the budget deficit in New Orleans. So from 2023 to 2024, there were warning signs that emerged. In 2023, the city began showing signs of fiscal strain after overspending on overtime and under-collecting revenues. In 2024, a mid-year audit warned that New Orleans cash reserves were running dangerously low. By late 2024, several departments, including the NOPD and sanitation, had exceeded their budgets. And city officials relied on one-time federal funds, ARPA funds, to cover reoccurring costs, creating a structural imbalance. And if you remember, at the end of 2024, that's when the city council was trying to make the deal with the New Orleans Public School Board, and they wanted to give them the $20 million. But then the CFO came in and was like, we can't pay that. And the mayor, they say, backed out the deal, but it was really the CAO and the city council that put together the deal. And so the city council took the word of the CAO, but the CFO, who's under the CAO, said, hey, we can't do this. And she said, mayor, we can't do this. So the mayor pulled out and said, no, we can't do this deal. It's not fiscally sound for the city of New Orleans. But the CAO was like, nah, we good. And the city council was like, we're going to believe him. We're good. And they did not use their investigative authority. Why they didn't use their investigative authority in January 2025? That is the best question. And actually, you had the budget chair. He was on Fox 8, I believe a week and a half ago, who actually said, hindsight's 2020. Well, hindsight's 2020. It's your job, sir, and everyone who's on the budget committee and everyone who's on the city council. Your job is oversight. So you cannot just blame the administration. Does the administration have to own their piece? Yes. Does the city council need to own their piece? Yes. And so New Orleans finds themselves in this budget deficit. And so in January 2025, the CFO sends a letter to the CAO, the city council, and the mayor that New Orleans is facing a fiscal crisis. So we move to mid-2025, July 2025. The Louisiana Legislative Auditor's Office began a deep review of the city's finances, and that was requested by the city council because the red flags were blaring, and it was like, what is the deal? And so instead of kind of speeding it up, they were like, oh, let the legislative auditor handle it, and we'll see what the deal is, because they're still saying that we have, an overage. And I'm like, how is that possible? So October 16th, I believe October 16th is when they came out with the legislative auditor formally came out. Now, this is important. The election was October 11th. New Orleanians did not have the information they needed to have a full understanding of who was responsible for what until after the election. Just saying, I'm just saying. So, after the election, New Orleanians found out from the legislative auditor, he formally estimated a $160 million deficit for the 2025 budget. And they said the causes included lower than expected revenue. So who's doing these projections? Escalating personnel and overtime costs. Nobody looked at overtime. Nobody looked for it. And unpaid obligations. The city had only about $25 million approximately in cash on hand, which was roughly 2 weeks of payroll. So New Orleans found themselves in a conundrum. And so in late October 2025, the state stepped in. Senator President Cameron Henry, who's out of Metairie, convened a meeting in Baton Rouge with Mayor-elect Helena Moreno and city council members. The legislative auditor announced that the state auditors would remain camped out, and that's their words, at City Hall to monitor finances. The city requested state permission to issue $125 million in short-term bonds to make payroll for our workers, our neighbors, our residents. The bond commission will meet tomorrow. So hello, everybody. The bond commission will meet tomorrow, Wednesday, November 12th, to discuss and review if this request is going to go forward. So that is what is up with regard to our budget deficit, because we are facing a fiscal crisis in New Orleans. As I said before, New Orleans is under judgment from the Lord, and we are having a cleanse. That's what the season that New Orleans is in. If you don't believe me, I'm giving you factual update advice to prove what is going down. So as of November 2025, New Orleans remains under state financial review. The 2026 budget must be balanced by law and submitted before December 1st, 2025. So that is like 19 days and counting for them to balance this budget. Yep. So spending freezes, hiring pauses, and cuts to city contracts have come into effect and remain into effect. So we do not know when they will be ending or what that situation is. And the legislative auditor continues evaluating whether to appoint a fiscal administrator. A state takeover mechanism is still possible if the city doesn't abide by the state oversight, because the city will have to request another short-term bond probably in June 2026. So this isn't done. We have a lot going on. And so let's look ahead to 2026. Mayor-elect Helena Moreno, who served on the city council during the years when this deficit accumulated, will now inherit the crisis she helped shape when she takes office in January 2026. Remember, I said this was reaping season, so you reap what you sow. And she and the city council will face the challenge of rebuilding trust, stabilizing finances, and ensuring that basic city services continue without further decline. So that is what's going on in the city of New Orleans. And I want y'all to have this information because the legislative auditor has made a request that the public gives their input. So the legislative auditor has requested public input. So we need to make sure that we stand up, we speak up, and we give them any information that you have. So if you are a New Orleans resident and you have experienced any delays in city payments, you've noticed service cutbacks, or have questions about how funds are being managed, we need you to speak up now. All of your information that you give will not be made public. There is an email to email the legislative auditor and the team. The email is nola@lla.la.gov. The email for the legislative auditor is nola@lla.la.gov. The legislative auditor requests the public input. He wants to hear from residents, city workers, and city vendors. So if you have been affected by any delays in finances or city payments, you've noticed any service cutbacks, or you have any questions about how the funds are being managed, please reach out. I already know a lot of people who have been affected by this. We need you to share your stories while we have somebody, to help give us a voice who's going to speak up for us. Please take advantage of this situation. I do have this post. You can see it here. It is on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube in my post. So you can go there and find this information as well. And again, the legislative auditor requests public input. You can email him at nola@lla.la.gov. That is nola@lla.la.gov. So please send your comments, your concerns, and share your stories if you've had any financial issues with the city of New Orleans, so we can get them fixed now, because now is the time to speak up, New Orleans. We got to speak up for each other. If we don't speak up, it will never happen. So that is about the New Orleans budget deficit. But you know what else New Orleans has going on? We have an election. We have an election going on this November 15th. That is this Saturday. So we want to make sure everybody gets out to vote. I know it's not going to be a full ballot, so everybody's not going to be as encouraged to vote, personally. But guess what? There's about $500 million on the ballot for New Orleans. So that should be the oomph you need to go vote and understand the importance, because who's going to pay that back? You are. So you want to make sure you're getting the bang for your buck. And so we want to make sure that you have the information that is going on, because if you are in Council District A or Council District E, you are still choosing your city council representative. Council District A and Council District E, you're still choosing your city council representative. They are on the ballot, as well as the clerk of court race. It is still on the ballot, so please make sure you go vote. What else is on the ballot is our bond propositions. Dun, 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 dun. Aren't we talking about all these bonds in the city of New Orleans? Well, yes, we're talking about some more, about $500 million. Y'all, that's $500 million in bonds. So guess what? We're going to break them down. And so I looked over the BGR positions, and I want to say I 100% agree with each of the positions that BGR has. And BGR is the Bureau of Governmental Research. They're an independent group who goes over the New Orleans finances, and they deliver suggestions for what New Orleans should be doing so the residents can get an independent point of view. So I'm going to go through each of the bonds and let you know what they're for. There's three. One is affordable housing, two is city infrastructure bonds, and three is drainage and stormwater bonds. So here we go. The affordable housing bonds, the BGR suggests that we vote against number one, Proposition 1. BGR has suggested that we vote against it, and I do too. After really reading it and understand it, I 100% am against the affordable housing bond Proposition 1. Let me tell you why. Y'all, we just voted on this 2 years ago. So why are we voting on this again? When we voted for the housing trust, we said that we wanted the money, 2%, to be taken out of the general fund. Out of the general fund, it's a steady stream of income. There's a general fund every year. The general fund's not going away. Well, what they have decided to do, and they're asking the residents, are like, hey, we don't want to pay it out the general fund. We want to do another bond. Well, if you pay it out of bonds, then you're going to have to pay more money for it. And so that's the problem that we have. So if you vote no on number one, it doesn't mean that the housing trust will not be funded. It just means that it will not be funded out of bonds. It has to be funded out of the general fund. So I want to give that clarity. You're not voting against affordable housing. Affordable housing will still happen. You're voting against bonds rather than the money coming from the general fund. So the $45 million affordable housing proposal would use long-term debt to meet an annual housing trust obligation, a move that BGR says is fiscally unsound. Borrowing to pay yearly expenses increase costs for taxpayers, since interest on a 30-year bond can total up to 40% of what's repaid. Why we want to dig another hole for ourselves? I just don't understand why you would even be doing that. And I don't why are we trusting the people who got us in this deficit to give us another bond proposition? That's a no for me. Absolutely 100% no. So the BGR urges the city to find a sustainable, transparent funding strategy instead of using debt for reoccurring needs. If bonds are necessary, officials should clearly communicate long-term costs and consider shorter maturities to limit interest. So that is number one, the affordable housing Proposition 1. I'm 100% against it. So, number two, the second proposition is for city infrastructure bonds. And I am 100% for this one. The $415 million infrastructure bond would fund critical repairs to streets, city buildings, parks, and other public assets. And y'all, with the city being in a deficit, we need this. So, the $415 million infrastructure bond would fund critical repairs to streets, city buildings, parks, and other public assets, reducing a backlog of deferred maintenance. And y'all already know you've hit a pothole. I know I hit one a couple years ago and I had a $1,500 bill. I ain't looking to have no more of that. So make sure you get out and vote yes to number two. The BGR recommends the city launch a public dashboard showing bond spending and outcomes and establish a consistent maintenance plan to protect these assets long term. And I 100% amen that. And last but not least, we have Proposition 3, which is regarding to our drainage and stormwater bonds. And I am 100% for this as well. So the $50 million bond would help reduce flooding and support stormwater management projects in New Orleans that complement the Sewage and Water Board system. The city has improved coordination and transparency in project planning, which is why the BGR is supporting this. The BGR urges adoption of a stormwater fee. Y'all, they trying to tax us again. But, for this, I think we may be open to it. BGR urges adoption of a stormwater fee, a fairer, more reliable funding source tied to a property runoff, not property value, because we know a lot of stuff has been on the property owners in the city of New Orleans on the backs of it. And so they want to use a different way to sustain drainage work for years to come. So in summary, New Orleans, we need to head to the polls on November 15th. Saturday, November 15th, head to the polls. You're going to be voting for Council District A and Council District E and Clerk of Court. So the entire city is voting, just like you came out for the last election. We need you to come out again. Clerk of Court, District A, District E. But what is most important on there is about $500 million. $500 million is on the ballot, and we need to put our 2 cents in about it and what and how it happens. So I 100% support infrastructure and drainage bonds. I am 100% against affordable housing bonds funded by long-term debt. We want it to stay with the 2% of the general fund. We do not want to use bonds for our housing. We want to stay using the 2% out of the general fund. That had been voted on 2 years ago. Why are you trying to flip it now? I don't understand. They're not doing a very good job of explaining that to residents, which also gives me like you trying to give us the okey doke. So we must really educate each other on what is on the ballot. So the Proposition 1 is affordable housing. Absolutely no. Proposition 2 and 3, absolutely yes. So please go vote November 15th, this Saturday. We must do it. And so this information was from the Bureau of Governmental Research, BGR. It's a private, nonprofit, independent research organization dedicated to inform public policy making and the effective use of public resources for the improvement of government in the New Orleans metro area. So shout out to BGR for giving us that. If you're interested in the full breakdown, they have a full report that is pages and pages. If you're interested in going read that, you can go look up BGR online. I'm sure they would love for you to go read their report and tap in. So that is what's going on. And last but not least, I had a resident question. And so I was really excited about this because we had a resident ask me about blight in their neighborhood and what they could do about it. So as you're walking your neighborhoods, if you see, a blighted house or an overgrown lawn that's been there for months and months, and now it's starting to grow over your head or whatever the situation is. Unfortunately, we have those things happening in New Orleans. And as residents, we need to speak up to make sure that we can take care of our communities. So where would you go? You would go to code enforcement in the city of New Orleans. And let me give you that website. So if you're having any blight problems in your neighborhood, you need to reach out to code enforcement. Their website is NOLA.gov/code, CODE -enforcement. That website again is NOLA.gov/code -enforcement. And that hyphen is important because I tried it without it just to see how it worked. It does not work without the hyphen. You 100% need the hyphen. So if you have any blight in your neighborhood, the person or the agency, the department you would need to reach out to is code enforcement. In code enforcement, if you're dealing with any blight in your neighborhood or any nuisance lawns, please make sure you reach out to them. And you can email them. I'm going to tell you what they say when you go on there. You can email them at codeenforcement@nola.gov. Email them if you have any pictures, if you have anything that you can reference, put it there. You want to email codeenforcement@nola.gov. Again, if you have any blight in your neighborhood, any nuisance lawns, and you need it to be taken care of it. And sometimes you need to take care of a family member. If you have a more mature family member who's having some problems with a neighbor or anything like that, where they're getting rodents in your house because of the next door neighbor, we need to make sure that we help each other. And so I have a question from the audience. How did the city council or mayor let sewage and water board borrow that much money? That's a whole conversation for another day. You know what? I'll make a post about that. Back to code enforcement real quick. This was actually, the crazy part is I put this out in my notes to go over for residents, because you do have a lot of residents who are renters in New Orleans, because it's a lot to afford the city of New Orleans right now. And Healthy Homes is a project that the city of New Orleans put into effect January 1, 2024. And a lot of people do not know it exists. So if you are renting and you are having an issue with anything in your property and your landlord is not responding to you, well, guess what? You have some help with our Healthy Homes ordinance, because rental property owners are required to register their properties in the Healthy Homes program. Let me repeat myself. Rental property owners are required to register their properties in the Healthy Home program. So the rental property owners must have a certificate of compliance to rent housing units in New Orleans. So if you are renting a a unit in the city of New Orleans and they do not have a certificate of compliance, then you have an issue. And who do you call? Code enforcement. So again, code enforcement's website is NOLA.gov/code hyphen enforcement, NOLA.gov/code hyphen enforcement. And you can also email them at codeenforcement@NOLA.gov. So if you are renting and you're having any issues with the property that you're living in, you can reach out to code enforcement in the city of New Orleans. What else does code enforcement do? They take care of lien reduction. So if you've had any liens put on your property, if you're a multiple property owner and something happened, you can reach out to them for lien reductions. They also have Chapter 66 lot abatement, and that is cutting grass for private property owners who have not been taking care of their grass. It has become overused, and so they are now putting fines and penalties on the owners who are not taking care of their grass. So if you are in a neighborhood and they have some overgrown property and you want some relief, you can reach out to code enforcement. They also do graffiti abatement. If you have a building in your neighborhood or on your drive to work, you see this graffiti filled building all the time, you can call code enforcement. They do that too. And they also have a mow to own program with regard to your neighborhood and those lots that are adjacent to you, the mow to own program. So all of this information and the code information to fight blight is all on code enforcement's website. And they also hold hearings of adjudicated properties, which is better known as like the sheriff's sales or the property sales. So if you're interested in any of those things, you can go check out code enforcement in the city of New Orleans. Sometimes people don't know exactly what they do. So I wanted to throw that in there because it was a resident question. And I know if one resident has a question, then it's probably more than one of us who has that question. So again, in a short order for the resident question was they have blight in their neighborhood. How can they, take care of it? And you can reach out to code enforcement. You can email them at codeenforcement@NOLA.gov, or you can call 311. I suggest you email because it'll be more of a direct response, and that is codeenforcement@NOLA.gov. So make sure you go do that. And then, y'all, last but not least, y'all know I'm giving away a free book today. Yay! And it was sponsored by Club Evolve. So I want to give them a shout out. Thank you so much for sponsoring a book, because everybody doesn't have the funds, especially with, what's going on in the nation and what's going on in the world. The book is $15. You can buy it from me. You can get it, buy it from me directly. That's at Cash App, Faith in Politics. Faith in Politics. It is $15. I do get bulk orders at a time. I do currently have some books, so let me know. I will get them to you. That is $15. Or if you want to sponsor someone, or if you wanted to sponsor a specific group or a specific person or a youth or whatever it may be, let me know what you're interested in and we can do that. I do have someone who's reaching out who's looking to get a bulk order for a group. So I do that as well. Let me know and we can get maybe a bulk order discount for you through Amazon and get a speedy delivery for you. So please check that out. This is a great gift. I think the gift of information is one of the best things you can give people because it's something they can't take away from you. Knowledge is the equalizer. And right now, I believe we need that in the city of New Orleans. They have liked us ignorant for so long, but ignorant we will not remain. How do we referee from afar if we do not know the rules of the game? Just this budget deficit is a great explanation of that because everybody had their finger pointing at the mayor. And y'all know I did a recall for the mayor, so I don't have I don't have any issue, pointing out what is going on with anybody. I'm here for the people. I don't care what the mayor looks like, purple, green, or gold. I don't care. My point is the people. And if you do right by us, that's all I'm worried about. And so when you don't do right by us, I will speak up and I will share the information so we can be block voters. Oh, that is something I wanted to tell you when I was talking about voting. So the importance of voting. I had somebody reach out last week and we were having this discussion actually because they were of the opinion that why should we vote? It doesn't matter. And so I go back to what I said a little bit earlier in the podcast that my dad was the first Black elected assessor in the state of Louisiana and he won by approximately 33 votes. And so if those 33 people did not go out and vote, my father would never have won. That's number one. Number two, when you don't vote, they stop paying attention to you. People like, why don't we get services in our neighborhood? Or why don't they pay attention to this city? Or why don't they do this? Why don't I ever get polled? What's going on? I never get those calls for being polled. Well, let me explain to you. When you get the voter list of the city of New Orleans, or wherever you are, you can get a voter list. And the voter list is broken down into so many categories, and it's very expensive. So most people, when they're buying the voter list, they buy chronic voters. Chronic voters are people who are voting in every election cycle. And so then they send their paraphernalia, they send their information to those people. From your voters list, you can map out the entire city and you can say, okay, this area votes, this area votes, this area votes, and this area doesn't vote. So if you are in a campaign season and you are reaching out to get elected, what areas of the city are you going to pay attention to? You're going to pay attention to all of those areas that vote. But that one little area over here that didn't vote, you're not going to give them as much attention. It's just natural. Why? Because they don't vote. And so if you do that in one election, that's one thing. But if you chronically do not vote, they're not paying attention to you. Is it right or wrong? No, you're still a resident of the city of New Orleans. You're affected by the rules that come down, but you have not let them hear your voice through your vote. So it is very important that we vote. It is very important that we block vote. If you find out what precinct you are and you get all of your neighbors in that precinct to vote in every election and to become chronic voters, you will see immediately the attention that your neighborhood starts to get. Why? Because they're going to start seeing it in the polling. They're automatically going to see it. And so that's why certain areas of the city do not get as much attention. And unfortunately, it is because they don't vote. People can say, oh, that's not the truth. It is. Every elected official, when they buy there's voters list, they buy the chronic voters. It is what it is. If you're not a chronic voter, they may never even see your name. And that's just the truth. So that is a very important reason to vote. And it's even more importantly that we block vote. If you know or have followed me for a while, I am not Democrat. I am not a Republican. I am 100% no party. I believe it's very important to be no party. I think certain groups of people have gotten the okie doke from the Republicans and certain people have gotten the okie doke from the Democrats for way too long. And they just vote that consistently. Well, if you vote one thing consistently, no matter what, why would the other party pay attention to you? If you're only going to vote one way, why would they ever say, oh, hey, let's offer them something? They would be wasting their campaign funds, their outreach funds, or whatever, focusing on a group of people that is never going to vote for them. That's how they look at it. So if you put yourself in the middle, guess what? Both sides have to vie for your attention. And I believe that's what we really need to do in New Orleans. They take us for granted and they just think, oh, we're just going to do this. Well, that has not been working out for us very well. And so I believe that we will be courted much better if we decide to be in the middle and not let them. It's like showing your hand before you go into the booth. Why am I going to show you my hand? Why would I do that? No, show me what you're going to offer me. Show me what you're going to do. And then I'm going to come behind you. And when I come behind you, I'm going to bring my whole neighborhood. It's not just going to be one vote. We're going to vote in a block. This is going to be 5,000 votes. That's how we need to move. We need to move in blocks. And when we do that, we will see a difference. So I believe I'm going to have a show or maybe a segment just about that because it really is so important. And people don't understand the importance of voting. But voting is very important. And also, this is faith in politics. People are like, why are you talking about politics and government? Y'all, God created government. Read your Bible. He 100% created government. And so if we can't talk about what he created, then what are we doing? God created government. And he's all up in it. So, and we pray for our leaders all the time, right? Why would you pray for them if God wasn't in government? So anyway, long story short, God is everywhere. He 100% handled government. And we do not need to be under the altar of either party. We need to be able to use our own minds and vote either way, depending on the candidate. I vote by the candidate in every election. I don't care what color they are or what they're doing. What are you going to do? What is your proven record? And we are going to hold you accountable for what you say that you we're going to hold you accountable for what you say that you're going to do. And so that's what faith in politics is all about. It's about holding people accountable to what they say they're going to do. And it's about educating our community on what's going on in politics, giving you some tips and ideas so that you can go light a spark in your neighborhood and wherever you are. I want you to be a little light in your sphere of influence, because if we can all speak up in our spheres of influence, we can make a stronger New Orleans or whatever city you are. I know Texas was on here earlier, or you can be a stronger voice in your community in Texas, Alaska, Timbuktu, wherever you are. We want to make sure that faith in politics is growing. And honestly, we lost a lot of morality. And so we need to bring that back to it as well. And so you're not going to do that if you do not participate. So last but not least, the book giveaway. So I do want to give a shout out again to Club Evolve, who sponsored the book, Faith in Politics, who sponsored the giveaway. Again, I want to give a shout out to Club Evolve, who sponsored the Faith in Politics giveaway. And again, if you want to sponsor a book, just DM me, or you can send the $15 or donation, whatever you want that donation to be, to Cash App at Faith in Politics, or you can Zelle it to faithinpoliticstoday@gmail.com. So that's how you can get it to me, and I can get on the next broadcast. You could be the sponsored one. And so the trivia, my question for you today, or in New Orleans trivia, I gave y'all the question. It said, who was the first mayor of New Orleans? And so if you looked, you saw that it was Etienne de Boré. Etienne de Boré was the first mayor of the city of New Orleans. So my question for you, and the first person who puts it into any one of these chats, because I have 4 chats going on, so the first person to put it will win the book. What year was the first mayor in New Orleans appointed? What year was the first mayor of New Orleans appointed? When did we get our first mayor? What was the year that we got our first mayor? If you put it in the comments, you will win a free book, Faith in Politics Today. And so if you're really looking hard for the answer, guess what, y'all? I put it in the post from today. Yes, you are 100% right. 1803. It was 1803. 1803 was when Etienne de Boré was appointed as the first mayor of the city of New Orleans. And so that's crazy, because I didn't even know who the first mayor of the city of New Orleans. I was like, let me go look this up. Y'all, I'm doing this with you. We're all learning this together. Like I said, I did grow up in a political family, so some of this came naturally for me, and I just thought, like, doesn't everybody know this? And when I figured out that everybody didn't know it, I was like, hey, but they should. And so that and God prompted me to write the book. So that is truly what happened. And so I want to give you a little bit of information about who he was. So the first mayor was, as I said, Etienne de Boré. He was born in 1741 and he passed away in 1820. He was a pivotal figure in early Louisiana history. He was best known as the first mayor of New Orleans under United States rule. That's important. And a pioneer of the sugar industry in the region. I did not know that till I read this. His early life and career. He was born in Kaskaskia, that was then French Louisiana, and educated in France. He married into a prominent Creole family in New Orleans and became a planter. Around 1795, de Boré successfully produced granulated sugar from cane at his plantation in what is now Uptown New Orleans. Isn't that interesting? This breakthrough transformed Louisiana's economy, turning sugar into its most profitable crop for decades. He's often called the father of Louisiana's sugar industry. After the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, de Boré was appointed by Territorial Governor William C.C. Claiborne. Y'all will know that last name from Claiborne Avenue. Now you know where it came from. As the first mayor of New Orleans under American administration. He served from 1803 to 1804. He really only served like 5 months. It wasn't even really that long. He left to go take care of his business affairs, is what they said. But he helped stabilize the transition from the French and Spanish rule to the United States governance. So that was his big thing, and why they chose him. I guess he had great relationships. And so it doesn't stop there, y'all. Great relationships. So that was in 1803 to 1804. He helped stabilize the transition from French and Spanish rule to U.S. governance. Etienne de Boré retired to a private life and died in 1820 at age 79. His former plantation later became part of Audubon Park in New Orleans. Y'all didn't know I was going to be giving y'all the goods tonight, huh? He remains a symbol of innovation, leadership, and Creole heritage in the city's early history. So I know exactly who you are. I will get with you for your book probably tomorrow because I'll be seeing you tomorrow. And I'm just so excited to be sharing some New Orleans information and to really build our faith in politics, because that's what this is all about. If we can each, light up in our spheres of influence and share great information, we can be a stronger New Orleans together. And we can also hold our elected officials accountable, because I do not believe we've done a great job of that in these past couple years, which is part of the reason why we're under this budget deficit. We have allowed them to kind of do what they were supposed to do, what they were doing, and we thought that they were representing us, and unfortunately that is not the case. So shout out to Mr. Burnside, who's at all the city council meetings. I cannot make them in person, but our city council meetings are live streamed, and you can find them online at YouTube. So follow the city council online. That's at NOLA City Council, at NOLA City Council. You can find all of the city council meetings there and keep up to date. You can see what's going on, and you can, make your 2 cents known. You can also go on their website, which is council.nola.gov, council.nola.gov. Again, you can subscribe to all of their emails, and you can also put in a public request, or a public comment, I should say, for the council meetings. So we want to make sure that each and all of our residents know how to interact with our city council, because if we don't say anything, nothing's ever going to be said. So that's just a little bit about what's going on in the city of New Orleans. And again, we had a fun show. We talked about all kinds of stuff, just to kind of give you a recap. So if you missed it, you can go back and tap in. I gave you the prophetic warning from God. I started with that because God is not playing with us. Like I said, New Orleans is under judgment, and he gave us a warning. And that warning was really for leadership, and especially clergy and false leaders, people who have been walking us off a cliff and giving us a lot of ignorant information. I gave information about our budget update, what's in the news in New Orleans. We talked about that tomorrow is the bond commission meeting. So make sure that you keep your eyes out with that. See if we get that approval. We have elections happening this Saturday, the 15th, for clerk of court, District A and E city council seats. And of course, we have 3 propositions on the ballot. I am absolutely against. That is a big no for Proposition 1. That is affordable housing. We want to keep the funds, the housing trust funds, coming from our general funds. We do not want to have the funds coming out of more debt. We're already in debt. We don't need to get in more debt. So we want to keep that money coming out of general funds. We just voted on that 2 years ago. So it's interesting why they're trying to slip that in again. You have a lot of people who are not in agreement with that, and you have a lot of people who I feel are saying it to appease the city council. But it is what it is. I'm not here for anybody's feelings. I'm here to tell you the truth. And I got all of my information to back it up through the Bureau of Government Research, that is BGR. So it's not just my great idea. It is also backed up by BGR, and you can find their information on their website as well. We talked about code enforcement. And how you can get some relief in your neighborhood if you're dealing with any overgrown lots or any blight in your neighborhood, or if you are renting some property and you have any issues with your landlord with regard to the structure of the building, you can reach out to code enforcement. And last but not least, we talked about the city trivia, and that is who was the first mayor of the city of New Orleans. That is Etienne de Boré, and he was appointed into office in 1803 by Governor Claiborne. So that is fun information. And so if you enjoyed Faith in Politics, I would love to partner with you. I do webinars, I do seminars, I do mock elections for a lot of our youth. This summer, I got to do my inaugural one. I was really excited about that. I partner with this nonprofit called Don't Stop Dreaming. So it was this group of young middle schoolers, and we had mock elections. We kind of broke up into two groups. They decided that they wanted to vote or run for president and DA. And so we went through the whole election process, and we elected a president and a DA. So it was really fun, and the kids got really into it, and they delivered their speeches, their 2-minute speeches, and they really enjoyed the process. So just to see them involved in understanding how politics works and how you become elected in the process of elections, I really believe that they will become more involved in our civic process. And when we give this information to our children while they are young, just how much more uh, productive they can be as residents and citizens. And what's even more important is, that they went home and shared this information with their family and friends. I had a lot of parents who was like, "Oh, I'm so glad that they did that." And so we just want to make sure that our children are educated, because they're going to be voting members of our community one day. And so we want to make sure that they have the tools to know, how to find information and what it's all about, and how they can become a part of the process, because we want them to be, the next mayor, our next senator, our next state rep, or council member one day, or clerk of court. We want our young people to feel confident moving into these positions. So partner with me at Faith in Politics. I do all of those things, and I have a business development firm. It is called Carter Business Development. I do strategic development and consulting. I handle strategic plans for your business, branding, rebranding. I launch civic engagement initiatives as well as outreach initiatives, and I build communication and engagement campaigns. So if you are in need of any of these things, please reach out to me. You can give me a call at 504-434-2827. That is 504-434-2827. That is Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. Reach out to me there, and I'll be more than happy to connect with you, and we can see how we can make some magic happen. And that email is faithinpolitics504@gmail.com. The email, once again, is faithinpolitics504@gmail.com. So thanks so much for y'all tuning in today. If you ever miss a show, you can find me online and listen anytime, because of course we're live on Instagram, YouTube, Podbean, and TikTok. But if you ever miss a show, I know you never want to do that, but if you did miss a show, you can listen anytime on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Music, Podbean, of course, Player FM, Listen Notes, Podchaser, and Boom Play. So there's no reason you should miss a show. I'm looking for partnerships, sponsorships, community solutions. If you have a solution, if you have an idea, please send me the information. I want to understand what's going on, so we can help the community work together. So, and you can also DM me in all of the forms. I try to get back within at least 24 hours. I am here, there, and everywhere, but I do try to make sure that I get back with you within 24 hours. So give me a little bit of grace with that. But thank you so much for tuning in to Faith in Politics. Today was episode 34. It was Remove the Fluff and Tell It Like It Is. There's so many things happening in the city of New Orleans and across the world. We really need to tap in to make sure that our voices are heard, because it is important, especially in these times. It is going to be a rough year for New Orleans, and it is what it is. Like I said, tell it like it is. It is going to be a rough year for New Orleans. We have a lot of services being cut. And if we are not paying attention and using our voices and speaking up, it could be your neighborhood. And so voting is important. Encourage your family and your friends to get out and vote. Election day is this Saturday, November 15th. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. It is very important. And when we become chronic voters, we will see our voices change, and the response from our elected officials change. And so that's what I'm encouraging. I'm encouraging us to be chronic voters, and we vote in blocks, so they know basically not to play with us. Like, you tell us the truth or you won't be there any longer, because they are our representative. We elect them to do our will, not their will. They're elected to do the will of the people. And if you didn't know, we have a Bill of Rights, a New Orleans Bill of Rights, and that is also in the book. I know. Did y'all know we have a Bill of Rights and we have some rights in the city of New Orleans? Isn't that crazy? Yep, it's true. And it's right there in Faith and Politics in the book. So again, you can get this book on Amazon. You can get it from me through Cash App. The book is $15. And if you want to make a donation to Faith and Politics, you can do it there as well. That Cash App, Faith in Politics. And of course, last but not least, you can get the PDF for free. I'm trying to give you the information. So make sure you go to the link in my bio on Instagram and TikTok, and you can get the book, the PDF for free. So share it with your family, friends. If you're a teacher, download it there. It's kind of long to be downloading it and printing it out. But if that's all you got, you know what? Guess what? More power to you. So please share the book, Faith in Politics Today. When we educate each other, we can be a stronger New Orleans. And of course, wherever your community is. So thanks so much for tuning in, y'all. I really, really appreciate you. Having started out in radio in 2013 on WBOK, I never knew where this road would take me. I went from WBOK to building the social media department for the city of New Orleans from 2018 to 21, to doing the recall of the city of the mayor of New Orleans, then for running for mayor to make sure that our voices were heard. Because if we don't speak up during election season, they are never going to listen to us. So it afforded me an opportunity to speak up for the people that I've been listening to for all of these years and to make sure that our voices were heard. So it was very important that I did that. And so now we have a voice and we're going to use it. So let's stay tapped in. Let's use our vote. Let's use our voice and speak up. Oh, and last but not least, I really do want to remind you once again before we go to email the state auditor. He is requesting public input. So the state legislative auditor is requesting public input. He wants to hear from you if you are a resident, a city worker, or a city vendor. If you've experienced any delays in city payments, noticed service setbacks or cutbacks, have any questions about how the funds are managed, he wants you to share your story. And none of the information will be made public. It will all stay private with him and their team. And you can email them at nola@lla.la.gov. Again, that is nola@lla.la.gov. The legislative auditor wants to hear from residents. He is requesting public input. So while we have, a voice from the state who is listening to us, trying to help get us together, let's make sure your voices is heard. So send those emails. Everybody knows a business who's had some issue in the city of New Orleans. So let's make sure their voices are heard and our small businesses are heard. If there's any resident question that you have, please DM me again, or you can email me at faithinpolitics504@gmail.com. That's how the code enforcement information got on today's show, is because they sent me a resident request, and they requested some information. And so if you want your question answered, please make sure that you send that information or your question to me there, and I will make sure that it's answered. And again, thanks so much. I'm Eileen Carter, your host, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Yes, you can catch me here every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Y'all, we have a set schedule. Can you believe it? I know it's been rough going on. I did a soft launch and I had 2 shows, but I wanted to make sure I'm consistent for you and that we can really get out the information that we need. So you can catch me here every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Thank you so much, New Orleans. I love y'all, and I'm out. Bye, New Orleans. Thank you so much. I'm out.